Is to show you how to set up both a Livescribe and an Evernote account for your Sky Wi-Fi pen. You'll need both of those accounts set up in order to use the pen to take notes and to create links that other people can see. So the first step is I go onto the internet and I go to livescribe.com, as you see right here in this URL. When it opens, I'm looking at the buttons above the top, and I'm going to go to support, and then from support, I'm going to go down to Sky Wi-Fi. At Sky Wi-Fi, you'll notice two things on the bottom of the page. One is Livescribe Helper, which is over here on the right. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to download Livescribe Helper for either my Mac or my Windows. And it just takes me to a wizard. Okay, this computer already has it, so I'm not going to do that. But just to restate that, this is the first thing you want to do because this is one of the ways to upload notes, and it is the only way to archive notes off of your pen. Okay, after I've uploaded Helper, the second step I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the left side of the page, and I'm going to click Set Up Now. Okay, once I'm in here, I have to give my pen an account name. Before I start this process, I need to think of a username, which is often an email, and a password that is going to be used for this pen. If it's my own account, I can do whatever I want. If I already have an Evernote account, you might want to use the same information you have from your Evernote account into your Livescribe, just to keep it consistent. If this is a pen for a school, what we often do is we'll do the school name and then Smartpen01 or whatever in Gmail. We create an email account for it, and then we call the password Smartpen01. So let me give you an example. So this one is going to be for Glendale, and I'm calling it Glendale Community College Smartpen05 at gmail.com, and we created that email for it. The password is going to be SMART, Smartpen05. Everything I'm doing, I'm trying to keep as consistent as possible. So retype it, 05. Then you just have to do the sign-in stuff, United States, and education. You go down and you do teacher education if you are, and then you create account. If I already had a Livescribe account, I would go over here to sign in. But this pen has nothing yet. It's right out of the box. So I'm creating my accounts, and then I'm going to create account. Okay, once the account is created, then Livescribe takes me over to Evernote, because I have to, as I said in the beginning, for the pen to work, it needs to be linked to both the Livescribe and Evernote accounts. So now I'm going to link to Evernote, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to give it the exact same email account that I gave for Livescribe and the exact same password, which is Smartpen05. And then I'm going to create the account. And I authorize. Fabulous. So now I have both of my accounts set up. Now I have to link my pen to the accounts. So I'm at this point, and I'm just going to turn the pen on. So I press the button on the pen. The screen comes on, and I'm waiting for it to give me a code. And the code that comes across it, where it says setup, it says enter code, is AREB and EBW7. And the way I found this was once I turned the pen on, before it's been activated, the screen will scroll through and it will say go to Livescribe, setup, and then it has a code. And you just put that 8-letter number code into this code right here. And then I'm going to give it a pen, and I'm going to call it Glendale 05. So now I know which pen this is. And then I'm going to say activate Smartpen. Now to do this, I've got, the pen comes with a cable. So I'm either going to have the pen connected to the cable or through Wi-Fi, but I'm going to go ahead and connect the pen right up here to the USB cable, and then I'm going to hit Activate Pen. And you see how what it did is by attaching the pen to the computer, as I mentioned before, that downloading the Livescribe helper, that pops up, which is this right here. And it tells me the Smartpen's been updated, and now I can go and I can install the software, or I'm sorry, now I'm going to go and I'm going to basically register and activate this Smartpen. So now I hit install, and now it's on my pen. What I'm seeing is it's saying it's upgrading, and now it's updating, and lets me know to not disconnect it, and it's basically putting it into the system right now. So it's connected to both Livescribe and the Evernote account. And so then I just got to wait for it to process through. And it looks like it's just about done because my pen is saying starting now. So it takes just a couple of minutes. And you can see here, it's installing firmware. The only way you can install firmware onto the Smartpen is through Livescribe Helper. So it's really critical that you install Livescribe Helper. This is the only part that is actually installed onto the computer. Both the Livescribe and the Evernote are both cloud programs. So all your notes and everything are held in the cloud. Helper is set up on each individual computer. So wherever you work, you can install this on multiple computers, but it's set on that computer. Okay, it's still processing, and now it's going to go through its own upload here, which may take a couple of minutes. Once this is done, a couple things while this is doing it. Let's say you get stuck on some steps. If you go over to our website, which is right here, smarttext.com, you can see it right up here, smartxt.com, and then you go to Smartpen. What you'll do, if you scroll on down this page, I have a section on Sky-Fi Wi-Fi, and this first document, which is Setup, are all the steps that I'm doing in the video. So you can use this in the background just to remind yourself of steps in case you fall behind in something. This is sort of a backup. Okay, I'm going back over to Helper, and it's still processing. And as this is doing it, what I'm seeing on the pen is do not disconnect. Please wait. So I just got to let it go through its little cycle. And to look back at this website as a benefit, so this is how to set up the pen, and you can go all the way through, how to activate it, what we're going to do next is we're going to test it. In addition to this document, after the pens are set up, you can go over here to the instructor support, and this is how instructors can use the pens, or anybody, once the pen is set up, to take notes. Here's a follow-up video, which takes you visually through everything that's in the document, just like I'm doing now. And down below here are some sample notes that teachers have done that you could also look at. Let's check and see how it's going. It's almost done. Okay, it's almost done now. Fabulous, okay. Oh, we got more we have to do now. So this process, you could pass right through this on a video because there's nothing I can do here. Basically, after it installs all the firmware, then it wants to activate it. And the firmware part is important because Livescribe is constantly updating the firmware for these pens. So hopefully this will be done any second. Fabulous. Okay, so for my sense, the pen is all registered and all updated. Now, the last step I want to do is I want to test it because I want to make sure it really works and it's going to the Evernote account that I expect it to. So I'm going to unplug it from my computer, and then I'm going to go to its little, the small book that comes with it, and I'm going to press record on the page. I hear a click, and I'm just going to say this is Glendale 05, and I set it up today on February something, February 12th. Okay, now I'm going to hit stop. Okay, so now I have some information on here that I can upload to the Evernote to make sure it's actually working. I have the option to either plug it back into the helper or I can do the Wi-Fi. Just since I have the cable already hooked up, I'm just going to plug it back in and install. Why is this coming up? Okay. So it wants to install more firmware. Okay, this is actually a really good point. Once the first time you use a Smartpen and you're updating it, it may go through 2 or 3 renditions of installing firmware. It's got to get, version 01 and then version 02 and then version 03. It can't do the following firmware until it's already processed the one before it. So even though it said done, now it's taking me through another step of it and another. So you may get this a few times before it's actually completely updated. So as you can see now, it's doing it, and it's going to go through this process. And on my end, it's telling me, please wait. On the pen screen, do not power off, do not disconnect, blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of have to wait. And this is good to show you on Livescribe Helper what it ultimately looks like when it's all done. So now we just kind of wait. La, 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 da, 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 da. What I can mention while we're waiting is there's a different setup process for Sky pens and for Echo pens. Echo pens work with a program called Echo Desktop, and that is a program that is installed on the computer. It does not work with the web. And when we set up Echo pens for students to use, we put all of those Echo pens onto one account. And the reason we do that is because the Echo Desktop can get confused if it's working with pens from multiple accounts. With the Sky Pen, we are now setting up each Sky Pen for its own individual accounts, because that provides the user more memory in their Evernote account for saving notes. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, while this is processing, I will show you, I'm jumping now to a different pen, and that is the Echo. If I were to install the Echo Desktop, I go to Google, and I would just go to Echo Desktop, and I would download Echo Desktop from Google, and it would look something like this. And if I click on it, Oh, it's getting itself confused with the Sky Pen. Let's not go here right now. Oh no. Okay, forget that for right now. So you can't do two pens at once. It got confused because Echo pens are different than Sky pens. You can't upload both at the same time. Okay, so back to our Sky Pen. It is done downloading this version of the firmware. Let's see if it's done. Okay, perfect. So if you notice on this screen now, I'm seeing Archive or Sync Now. Once these buttons appear on my screen, I've gone through all the steps of uploading the firmware. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Sync Now. And what it's doing is it's syncing my notes up to my Evernote account. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into Google and I'm going to go into Evernote. And then I'm going to go not sign up, but I'm going to go into sign in because remember, I already created my Evernote account. So I sign in and I'm going to skip this. And now up here, oh, that is my account. Okay. I may have different email accounts going on, so I have to make sure I go up here and I have the correct email account. And here it is. This is my email account that I put in. And I'm going to go to my notebook right here, my pen, Glenda 05. And voila, there is my pen. And if I click on it, I can hear it. Click, and I'm just going to say this is Glendale 05. And so it works fabulous. I know it's going into the correct Evernote accounts, and my pen is ready to work with whoever's going to be using it for taking notes. So now, if I was working with this, I would go back over here to my Smartpen website, or SmartText website, and I have finished setting up the pen, and I've watched the video or I've looked at the document. Now I'm ready for somebody to use it. So I can either look at this document here or watch the video. And that takes me through the steps on how to upload the notes and make them available to students. Okay, all done.